As a young boy, I would be awakened every summer morning by the smell of Big Mama preparing my favorite meal of the day, breakfast. The smell of homemade pancake batter and the thick-cut bacon, sometimes with the rind still in place, y'all. Butter biscuits and scrambled eggs. Eggs that were gathered from our evening visit out to the chicken coop. See, she would warm my belly and tell me stories about how excited my daddy would get when he was a young boy and smelled the same smells that I experienced on those early summer mornings. See, Big Mama had become daddy to me. And even though my daddy was her son, she had taken on the responsibility of being the loving one. And as I stand here now, I reminisce on the days that my daddy wasn't around and how the mere mentioning of his name would simply turn my smile into a frown. And how every time I was reminded that I sound like him over the telephone, I would change my tone from bass to baritone. See, I reminisce. I reminisce about the skeletons I got all so comfortable in my closet as a young man to a full-grown man. Like the many nights that you weren't there to protect me, Daddy. Maybe he would have never touched me. Maybe I would have never had to watch my mother be verbally abused. You hear me, Daddy? If you were there to protect me, then maybe I would have never had to watch my mother be verbally abused. See, he would call her a bitch and a whore, and me, he would simply call me a faggot with the greatest ease. Because I chose art over the football field, and because I chose poetry over hanging out in the streets with Kendrick and them. Yeah, that's what he would call me, a faggot. Maybe I would have never had to hear those things, and maybe I would have never had to live a life of shame, and maybe you could have been more like my hero Big Mama had become to me. Maybe. Oh, but as I stand here now, y'all, I'm here to declare to the world that the process of healing has began, and the seeds that the devil tried to plant in me, they dried up and disintegrated up under the sun. Oh, because I love me, and Mama loves me, and Big Mama loves me just the same. And see, together they taught me how to dream in French and how to speak in color. They taught me how to explore new worlds and not be bothered by the subtle tortures of my mind. So they planted new seeds in me, seeds that began to sprout and grow. And as I stand here now, I reminisce, and I want y'all to join me. I want you to stop and pause and breathe. I want you to breathe for healing and understanding. I want you to breathe for the young brothers and sisters that's come along the way and the many more to come. I want you to stop, pause, and breathe. I want you to stop, pause, and breathe again and again. Just breathe.
She watched the one standing man in her life drop to his knees and kiss away the undulating innocence of her every being. As she opened her mouth in response to his knees, she felt the door slam shut to her soul with every poke, prod, and touch. Being the girl her mother never wanted her to be, and him being the man he wished he never was, their bodies melted. Not from the heat of passion, but from the fire of shame burning through her skin. He thrusted himself upon her, slow and strategic, so that no one could hear, as she softly laid her head against the pink lace pillow that her grandmother ever so delicately embroidered baby girl. I can hear her. She watched the one standing man in her life turn around and walk away. She dropped to her knees, begging for him to stay, while she offered her body as collateral in the war for his heart. Being the girl her mother never wanted her to be, and him becoming the father that he wished he never was, their bodies connected. The sweet scent of scotch laced every kiss placed on her forehead, shoulder, and belly, for only he knew what she needed to do to make him stay. He thrusted himself upon her, slow and strategic, so that no one can hear, as she softly laid her head upon her mother's pillow, still stained from the lipstick of the last woman that he laid. Him trying to hide his indiscretions inside of his daughter. I can see him. She watched the one standing man in her life drop to his knees and cry out to her. She looked down at him while he begged for her forgiveness of what he had done. As he opened his mouth to speak. She watched the one standing man in her life fall to his knees and cry out to her. She cried a bit inside without letting it show while she reached for her bags, walking towards the door. Being the woman her mother never was and the father her husband left her to be, she fought against the demons of an abusive past. Once idle in the trap of molestation, she fought back against the silence. He thrusted himself upon her, slow and strategic so that no one could hear, as he softly grabbed her hand, requesting her to stay. She snatched back her hand quickly enough to slap him in his face while screaming, "You may have been my father, but you were never my daddy, and I never thought you would stoop so low as to touch my own baby." Tears streaming down her face as she rushed to the door. Heading down the stairs, gasping for air, she met the cops on the first floor. "He's in apartment 206. Can you see me?"